Hey guys, it's GhostCuber, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the three major budget Pyraminxes on the market. These are all $7.99 on thecubicle.com, and I have the Meilong M, the Little Magic M, and the Chi MS. So let's start with the Meilong. Here is the puzzle, and there's nothing in the box except a card. The first thing I notice is that the plastic is frosted, which is not good, especially for a Pyraminx because it's already fairly slippery. Ooh. First impressions are not good. It's extremely tight and the tips are not even magnetic. And they're extremely strong. I have a feeling this is going to end up being the worst one, out of the box at least, but I will be setting them up. Next is the Little Magic. Nothing in the box except a pamphlet. And this one has glossy plastic, which is nice. The tips are still fairly strong, but they are immediately much better than the Meilong. So the feel is very nice. It feels similar to a Huanglong, but it's obvious that it's cheaper. Reverse corner cutting is not good. Regular is fine, but again, this will need setup, but it's considerably better than the Meilong out of the box. And finally, I have the Chi MS. So far, I think I like this one better, although I have had one before, so I'm already used to it. It feels like there's something going on with this tip, but I will look into that. Again, reverse corner cutting isn't very good, but I think this is the best balanced one out of the box so far.
Alright, so we got MS here, Little Magic here, Meilong here. I'm starting with the MS. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm noticing some little lockups and maybe some overshooting. Okay, so like it feels very light and easy to turn, and then the magnets have an actual click to them. It sounds like the original Moyu magnetic. Like you really hear that click as opposed to like a just clunk. But I'm getting a lot of lockups right now. I think the turn might be a little too light, or at least I need to get used to it, because I'm kind of manhandling it. That's my main feeling. Super light, very like distinct click at the end of every turn. Not in terms of strength, but in terms of feeling. Crazy.
And check out the tips too.
Oh yeah, true. Oh, they feel kind of like scrapey. Like I don't think they're bad necessarily, but I don't really like how they feel. It feels like the tip is 3 different pieces and not just one or something. Okay, so I feel like this has potential, but the way it is right now, I'd either have to adjust to it or adjust it to me. If that makes sense. So decent, but needs work. Next, Yushin Little Magic. Interesting all red internals. I don't necessarily like how the corner cutting feels on this. It feels like the springs are a little too strong. But it is performing a little better than the MS at the moment, I think. I don't know though. What do I know? The sides feel uneven. Like this is a lot different than the other ones. And there's much less of a distinct magnetic feeling to it. This is just like free floating and then it stops on the magnets. This feels more like there's some resistance during the turn. almost like a gummier feeling. And there's just a harder stop where that magnet is. And now let's do some tips maybe. Oh, weird. This is very much like a Bellevue one in terms of how that feels, at least. Very like ready to jump to the next spot. Feels pretty stiff. So I'd probably be fine with taking a magnet out of there. So it's not bad. Again, like similar where it's not perfect right now, but I could see myself getting used to it and adjusting it. Next up, the Maylong. This feels light and it has the frosted texture. It makes it feel really papery on the outside. Oh, I hate how that feels. Wow. That's like not even worth thinking about. Of course, maybe it would loosen up with some lube, but yeah, that's just garbage. Oh, that's hilariously bad. Look at that. This is like worse than QJ tips, not even gonna lie. Yeah, this is not worth comparing to the other ones at all. It's frosted on the outside and just garbage on the inside. Hate to say that. Yeah, this is really bad. Look, like that's not good. Okay, yeah. So my verdict is my favorite of the three, as they are right now, is the Yushin, but I have more hopes for how the MS will turn. Because this feels more polished, I guess. This feels okay and it's working well, but this feels like this could be a nice finished product. So it's potential. So they're all three good except for this one. So two of them are good, but that's my verdict. All right, so we are finished setting them up now, and I've got them in the same order here that they were. So starting with the MS, we didn't do too much to this one. We just lubed the screws and springs and then put a little 50K or weight 5 on the pieces to slow it down a little bit. Not sure we got the tensions nailed down yet, but this is a really fast and kind of unstable puzzle. And it's like there's a weird tricky balance because you want it to feel kind of loose, but it tends to get too loose before it's got enough corner cutting. And so you just end up with weird lockups. I don't know. This feels like when I pick this up and do a few turns, it feels like this ought to be great. Like it's light, it's quick, it's got a nice solid click at the end of each turn. But when I actually do some solves on it, I don't love it. I think the tips could stand to be a little bit stronger as far as magnets go. They feel a little wimpy. So this isn't bad, and I feel like it's still missing something. Like I feel like if I could just find the right setup combination or get the right lube in it, it would work. But as it is, I did a bunch of solves on it, and it just wasn't working. Like I just wasn't getting good times. And to be fair, I haven't really gotten good times all day for Pyra. But I don't know. I don't love this yet, but I feel like it could have room to still improve, so I will not pass judgment on it completely. It is cutting corners pretty well, all things considered, and I like the feeling a lot. You know, it's nice looking. It's definitely not bad. Probably my favorite of the bunch turned out to be this Little Magic. It still has sort of a clunky, heavier feeling than the other two, and it's got more of a traditional Pyraminx feel, I guess. It's more leaning towards in the line of a Moe magnetic with more stability, whereas the MS is more of a Bellevue one feeling to it. This is really nice. I don't like the red interior at all, but that's whatever. I guess it's a small thing. It's sped up a lot. It doesn't feel sluggish anymore. We took the washers out of it as well. And overall, I'd say this is the best of the three, at least in this one day of experience with it. It just seems to work well. It could stand to maybe have a little bit less snappiness to it when you're cutting corners, but just the fact that it cuts this wide of an angle is really nice, because very few Pyraminxes are going to be able to pull that off. So yeah, this is a good Pyra right here, especially for the price. Lastly, we come to the Maylong, which unsurprisingly required the most setup work. So what we ended up having to do was actually sand down the bumps on all the centerpieces that make the tips click, and then we had to do some extensive messing around with the pieces and such. But it is greatly improved. Still not good. I just did some averages on it, and I was averaging like 3 flat. I mean, it like works now, and you can tell that it's magnetic instead of just sort of slow and bad. But the tips are still so weird, and they get stuck in all the wrong places. So like, there's just no reason to recommend this, right? There's better Pyraminxes for the same price. If anything, you're gonna want the Little Magic, or the MS even, or even just a Mr. M. All of those are better options than this thing and require less setup. So yeah, don't go with this one. I mean, it's not the worst Pyraminx I've ever turned, but I've turned some pretty bad Pyraminxes, so I don't know if that's saying a lot. Yeah, that's the three basically. If it comes down to it, these two are both decent options, and depending on your setup, you'll like one better over the other, and depending on your turning style as well. And then there's also this Pyraminx, which is not an option. Just don't buy it unless you like to make fun of Mogi's designs. That's basically my verdict. If I had to use one of these in a competition today, I'd go with this one.
My opinion of the MS is similar to Drew's. In the middle of turns, it's extremely fast with very little resistance, but it clicks fairly strongly because of the magnets. I also added additional magnets to the tips since he left, and they're still weaker than I would like, but they are much better. For some reason I get some weird lockups on this puzzle, but I don't know why, because the corner cutting is very good. This puzzle isn't bad to solve on, and I get decent times, but it's just not really my preference. The Little Magic Pyraminx is my favorite of the three. It has a very plush feel, if that makes sense, which just makes it feel more balanced. There's some friction throughout the turns, and it makes the clicks less jarring, even though they are probably about the same strength as the MS. I like the tips on this one as well, probably the best of the three, but they were a bit strong out of the box and I had to remove a magnet. However, on this puzzle, this is very easy. You just take apart a tip, you can just take two pieces off, turn it halfway, and the magnet pops out. So it's really not much of a process to do this, and I don't see it as an issue since it's so easy to fix. Of the three puzzles, I get the best times on this one by a small margin over the MS, but I think both of them are good. However, there is a chance I will be switching to this. I'm not sure yet, and I still really like the Mr. M, but this one feels like it might be more reliable. Like Drew said, the Meilong Pyraminx is much better than it was before, but it still isn't good. After sanding down the tips, they became better, but they are still not magnetic and they are still not good. Sometimes they still get stuck in the middle, and I get a lot of very near +2s because they don't stay in place very well. Because I had to sand them down manually instead of removing a magnet or adding a magnet, they aren't completely consistent either because I didn't sand them perfectly. If you are better at modding than me, that might not be an issue, but it's still annoying to have to worry about, and unlike removing magnets, you can't unsand something. The body is quite a bit better than it was too, especially after removing the washers. It gives the springs a little bit more room to flex, and it makes it feel less tight. However, because this puzzle requires extensive modding to be decent, and it has frosted plastic, and it's still not good as the others, I really do not recommend this to anyone, and there's no good reason to buy it. So after modding and setup, it is usable, but it still isn't good, and you should go with one of these two. I hope this video was helpful in helping you decide which Pyraminx to get. Personally, I recommend the Little Magic, but the MS is good too, and some people may prefer it. Thanks for watching. Bye.